Say goodbye to pizza delivery, because today we're learning how to make pizza with homemade crust. This recipe is just perfect for beginners. You're only going to need a few ingredients for the crust, and you can add all your favorite toppings, except pineapple. So grab your ingredients and let's get started. Hi guys, Roman here from Urban Treats. Today we are making pizza with homemade dough. This recipe is so easy to make that it's going to be a success every time you make it. You only need a very few ingredients, and the good thing about this recipe is that it's going to be ready in 45 minutes and you can decorate and bake your pizza. So let's get started. First we're going to take our bread flour and we are going to only mix half of it. There you go. We don't use the whole amount, only about half, with our water, and all the ingredients and the amounts are of course in the description as always. So mix that in here. The water has been warmed up. We put it in the microwave for a few seconds. We want it to be warm but not hot. Then we're gonna add in our yeast. So this is dry yeast. We have 1 packet here. We add in the olive oil. And this is actually garlic infused olive oil. So you can either infuse the olive oil yourself, or if you don't have garlic infused olive oil, or if you don't want to make it, then you can just add a teaspoon or 2 of garlic powder. So we're going to add this in here as well. And before we add our salt and sugar, we are going to combine this and make sure it's really nice and smooth and we don't have any clumps. Now that this is well combined, we can start adding our salt and sugar. Here we go. And stir it a bit more until everything is combined and there's no clumps and everything is well integrated. Now we're ready to add the rest of the flour, and I'm going to do that slowly. So add it in bits and combine. Stir, whisk, and then add a little bit more. This dough is a little bit sticky, but don't worry about it. This is really how it's supposed to be. It's starting to come together. We add a bit of more flour. And at some point it's going to become so tough or so thick that we're going to use our hands to combine the rest of it. Okay, now I can't use my wooden spoon anymore. So I'm going to set this one here aside. Make a bit of a mess. I'm going to cover the dough with flour, and then I'm going to use my hands to combine the rest. So knead it gently in the bowl. And if you use a kitchen towel like this under the bowl, it's really going to help you keep your bowl steady. And it's not going to move all over the place. So this is starting to get there, and I still have flour left. So you see, the flour really does make a difference. So if I would have used all-purpose flour at this point, the dough would have still been very sticky. But now you can already see it's already starting to come together really nicely. I'm still going to add more flour. I want it to have a bit of a thicker consistency. So I'm not going to add my whole 4 cups, but I'm going to add a little bit more. I've left a few teaspoons here. And now I'm going to knead that in, folding up half the dough and then pressing it down so it folds into itself. So the consistency you want to get is about this. You see, it's tough. It's still malleable, but you can easily shape it. This now is ready. I'm not going to add any more flour to this. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to proof it in a glass bowl. To proof, we are going to add a little bit of olive oil to our glass bowl, like so. Okay. Spread that nice and even. And you're going to pick up the dough and you're going to fold the edges like this under the dough into itself. This is going to create a nice round shape, you see, like this. And then we place it in our bowl. And we cover this with a kitchen towel and we let it rest for about 30 minutes. You want this to rest in a warm area so that the yeast can get activated and the dough can really grow and become at least double its size. The pizza dough has rested for 30 minutes and it's grown in size. So let's have a look and see what happened. Oh wow, that's actually more than double the size. And what we need to do next is prepare it for our 12-inch pizza tray. So very gently press out the air of the dough. There isn't much air in this. There we go. Okay. And we're going to lightly flour our working surface. So add a little bit of flour like this. And we drop out our dough. Here it is. And then we're going to fold it a few times into itself. Not too much. We don't want to over net it. We really just want the consistency to be nice and evenly. Okay, fold under the edges like we did in the previous step. And we are ready to shape. Now I'm using this pizza tray. And this is a pizza tray with holes. They're very easy to get, they're very cheap, and they work really, really well for pizza. Of course, you can also use a pizza stone, or if you don't have a pizza tray or a pizza stone, you can just use a normal baking tray and it will turn out just great. If you want to grab one of these, you can of course get them on Amazon or in your local bake shop. So this is a 12-inch pizza tray, and we are going to stretch our dough out to be just over 12 inches. And you can see it's getting a bit sticky now, so I'm going to add a little bit of flour, not too much, just enough to be able to work with it. And I'm going to stretch it out by grabbing it with my fingers and my palm, and I'm going to slowly pull it out in all the directions. So you can see here, just slowly and evenly pull it out. You can of course also use a rolling pin if you want and stretch it out first and then just lay it onto your pizza tray. Do it like the Italians a bit. I'm not going to try that. I don't want the dough to end up on the floor. And just keep stretching it out. This takes a little bit of a while and you have to learn this, but it's totally worth it. We've stretched our pizza out to 12 inches, but obviously we want to have this nice thick crust and we want to have a flat center. So what we're going to do is we're going to scratch it out just a little bit above the tray. So you see I'm going up approximately an inch, a couple of centimeters over the tray edge. Just pull it over very gently, let it fold, and just turn around and keep pulling over the edge. If you get a couple of tears here and there, don't worry, just take a piece of dough, press it together, and you're good to go. So, and now we're gonna fold over the edge into the tray. So now we have a nice thick crust. That's gonna grow even more when we bake it. And you can see I'm just turning, folding, turning, folding. So turn, fold over itself, and this will give you a nice even edge. Now at some point you will probably end up with a big piece of dough like this one here, for example, and you can just simply cut that off, and you're gonna probably need it later. If not, just set it aside. Here we go. You can see I got another big piece. Grab it with both hands and just clip it off. If your fingers get sticky, just dunk them in a bit of flour and you're good to move forward. Okay, so that looks pretty nice and even to me. I have a little bit of a hole there, so I'm going to use a little bit of my dough. I'm just going to fill it in, fold it in, and you're ready. Now we want to prepare the pizza for our toppings. And there's two things we have to do before we can add any toppings. And one is we have to poke some holes into the base. And to poke the holes into the base, I'm just going to use a fork and I'm going to lightly press down. And what that's going to do is two things. One, it's going to keep the base flatter than the edges. So we want the edges to be nice, thick and crusty, and we want the center to be flat. And also, if there's any air trapped between the tray and the actual pizza dough, it's not going to expand and break the pizza or lift it up in the middle. So go all over the base, fill it up with tiny little holes. And now we're ready for step 2 of the pizza base. For that, we are going to get some more olive oil and we're going to spray it all over the crust and then gently, without closing up the holes we made, rub it into the base. You can use a brush for this if you prefer, or you can just use your fingers. Here we go. So the olive oil is basically going to keep our ingredients from soaking into the pizza dough, because you don't want to have a soaky pizza bottom. You want it to be nice, bready and crispy, and the ingredients to be wet on the top. So if you add olive oil, you're going to keep those separated and make it really super nice and tasty. So now we are ready to add our toppings. And the first and most important part, of course, is the tomato sauce. We have some ready tomato sauce with garlic and basilicum here, but of course you could make that yourself. We will have a recipe in the description below. Now add a good amount of tomato sauce and using the back of the spoon, just spread it all over your pizza. Don't worry if it goes a bit on the edges, because that makes that nice little dark crispy spots that you get on the store-bought pizza. Okay. Tomato sauce is ready. Now it's time to add our favorite toppings. And I'm going to start with some mozzarella cheese. So this is ready and grated here. And sprinkle it nice and evenly all across your pizza base. And I like to save a little bit and add it to the top as well. So I'll leave a couple of teaspoons in there. Then we're going to add some mushrooms. These are fresh. I've just cut them into very thin slices. And I'm not going to add too many. I only like a few of those on my pizza. We will also add some slices of mozzarella, but you can really add anything you like, except pineapple. Pineapple on pizza is a crime. No, I'm just kidding. Add whatever you want. Pepperoni, my all-time favorite pizza topping. Plenty of pepperoni on my pizzas. And I'm going to add a few pieces of prosciutto here and there. Just spread them. A little bit more. Some fresh slices of tomato. There we go. That already looks amazing. And the final bit of cheese on top. Agnes is telling me I have to add some ham as well. So we'll add some ham here as well. Here we go. Nice thin strips of ham. And our pizza is ready for baking. We've preheated the oven at 190 degrees and we have no convection in the oven. So it's very important that you have no fan or convection in the oven when you bake pizza, so that you get a nice even bake. The crust is baked, the bottom is baked, and your ingredients are nice and crispy as well. We'll pop that in the oven and we'll show you the result in a few minutes. Our pizza with homemade dough is out of the oven, and check out the results. I think they speak for themselves actually. So this one here is a half margherita and pepperoni, and then we have mixed meat on the other side, and we have a mixed pepperoni pizza right here. Now you will see that this one actually has a much thicker and much bigger crust than the other one, and that's because we increased the proofing time on this one. So this one was actually proofed for almost 2 hours, while this one was proofed for only 30 minutes. So depending on how thick you want your crust, let the dough proof a little bit longer. I hope you enjoyed this video. We are back next Wednesday with another recipe on urban treats. As always, all the ingredients and a printable version of this recipe is in the description. And of course, if you want to see more of our videos, check out the rest of the channel or subscribe so that you're always up to date with our latest videos and recipes. Thank you for watching. See you next week.